So when you go out and you encounter something new, it always means the demolition of parts of you that are still unformed and incomplete. And so there's a sacrificial element to exploration. And that's partly why people don't like to talk to people who have ideas that are different than theirs. Because you might think, well, sure, we differ, why can't we just talk? If you know things I don't, all the better. But no, if you know something I really don't know, it's going to challenge something I already presume. And if it really challenges, it will disintegrate, and I'll do a little trip into the underworld before I can restructure myself. And if you really challenge me, it might be an almost complete dissolution. So who wants that? Well, here's how you want that. The only circumstance under which you will want that is if you know that the alternative is worse. Continual small updates differentiate you and make you strong. You shy away from that, your map stays low resolution, and you make yourself weak because you're not practicing that process of letting go and transforming, and letting go and transforming, because you want to become a master at that. You don't want to be a master at guarding your territory, even though that's extraordinarily useful. You want to become a master of taking the walls apart and extending them and building them up, and taking the walls apart and extending them and building them up. And that, because you'll never run out of utility for that. And that can mean that unknown becomes something that's your friend instead of your enemy. And that would be a wonderful thing, because of course people respond to the unknown as if it's their terrible enemy. It's like, don't be so sure about that. What you know might be your enemy. What you don't yet know might be the best friend you have. And it's highly probable, because what do you know? And there's an infinite number of things you don't know. So you might as well make friends with them. And then you also start to understand that you are precisely the thing that can move into the unknown as if it's welcoming and grow and develop as a consequence. And that makes you a much different thing than the thing that has to be terrified of everything it doesn't understand. You're just in a permanent state of existential horror under those conditions. And that's something that's very interesting, is because the degree to which the terrible part of the world manifests itself in your life is proportionate to how insufficient you are. And we don't know the full extent of that. If you got your act together completely, maybe all the suffering would disappear from your life, or at least maybe all the unbearable suffering, and maybe all the suffering or the unbearable suffering from the lives of people around you too. And you already know that, because there are people that you'll go to in a crisis that you can rely on, and you know they'll help you, and you wonder what the world would be like if you were like that and everyone else was like that too. We'd have a lot fewer crises, and the ones that we do have would be a lot more manageable. And so when people say, well, why is the world so rife with suffering, one answer to that is because we're not yet what we could be. And at least that's an answer that we have some control over, right? You're not going to talk God out of making the world suffer, that's for sure. And you're not going to negotiate directly with Mother Nature, but you might be able to put yourself together a little bit and see if that works. At least it's under your control. And God only knows what the upper limit of that might be. The first time in my entire adult life, the conservatives actually have something to sell young people, right? They could sell them responsibility. It's like, well, why? Because that's where life has meaning, with responsibility. The more responsibility you take on, the more meaning your life has. And the higher degree of responsibility that you agree voluntarily to try to bear, the richer your life will be. And no one's ever told that, and it's the case. You know, it's like you have 4 kids, say. Well, that's plenty of responsibility. You're going to have meaning. It's going to be rough, you know, because it's complicated. You have a complicated job, and you try to help the careers of the people around you. You try to solve tough problems and aid suffering and do all of that. It's like, it's weight, it's responsibility, but there's glory in it. There's real glory in it. There's deep meaning in it. And young people are starving for that, because no one ever tells them that. It's like, you're way more than you think, man. Stand up, do something difficult. Do something difficult and heroic, right? Burst out of your bonds. It's like, that's a good message. It's a necessary message, because we have to be more than we are, because if we aren't, we're not going to survive.